CBS News Justice and Homeland Security correspondent Jeff Pegues is following the latest. Jeff, good to have you. So what can you tell us about the reports that Rahami's dad warned the FBI about his son in 2014?
Well, now we're getting a more complete picture of who the suspect may have been. We have these writings that you referenced there, Vlad, but also what his father is saying. Now, his father is saying that he told authorities that his son was a terrorist. And so what we've learned is that investigators interviewed the father, and at some point in 2014, the father recanted. And so according to law enforcement sources, there was no evidence there to pursue a case. And so the father is saying now that he warned the authorities, but investigators are saying that's not necessarily the case. They talked to him, but there was no case there, and they could not pursue it any further.
Jeff, they also found a notebook on Rahami. It's got some personal writings in that notebook. What does it reveal?
Well, it reveals that there was radicalization there. These are writings, and to call them writings might be a stretch. It's a rant.
Right.
He's ranting about bombs being in the streets, and I'm just paraphrasing some of the things that were found in some of these rants, and there were several there, and there were references to Osama bin Laden and Anwar al-Awlaki. You may not know who he is. He was a U.S.-born cleric, and in many of these terrorism cases, his name pops to the surface. He was what some people view as a very charismatic man, and he has these sermons that still live on, even though he was taken out by a drone strike in 2011. And so that Anwar al-Awlaki, his name comes up. You have Osama bin Laden. And so, as I said, you're getting a more complete picture of maybe getting to that motive. What was it that motivated this person to allegedly carry out these acts? So now we're getting a more complete picture of who this man may have been.
And to that, Jeff, there are reports that when he was in Pakistan, which he traveled to, he also traveled to Afghanistan, although he was born there, but he did travel to Pakistan. He traveled to Quetta, which is usually off limits for American citizens, that he got married, and that his wife left the United States a few days or a few weeks before this attack was carried out. What do we know about her?
Well, we're learning, and we're trying to get to the bottom of that as well. There have been some reports that she left a few weeks before, but what we've been told is that she left several months before, and there were intentions. She intended to come back. At least that's what we're being told. We're told the mother left a couple of months ago, and so there are conflicting reports on that. We know that his wife is now in Afghanistan. We know that investigators are trying to figure out, well, who has he had contact with in those regions, and because that's important too, as they try to figure out, well, who was he in contact with before this event. So all of those little pieces matter to this puzzle.
And for those viewers who are wondering, okay, we know that he was involved with a shootout with police in New Jersey. He's being charged with those crimes, but he's not yet been read his Miranda rights, from what I understand, and they haven't, unless that's changed in the last hour or so. And also, what is going to happen with this investigation to those bombings?
Well, he's still in the hospital. He's still hospitalized. He was wounded in that shootout with police. And so investigators, from what we're hearing, still have not questioned him, and then he's not cooperating. He hasn't said anything. He didn't say anything when he was arrested, according to our sources. And so, yeah, they want to talk to him too. But he is in the hospital, perhaps unable to respond to questions. We don't know yet. So that's something that we're looking into as well. There were 5 other people. Remember that? 5 other people who were stopped on the Verrazano Bridge. We learned today that they have been released. But investigators are still trying to see if someone else was involved here in the States. Was this part of something bigger? So even though they have him in custody, they're saying this investigation is far from over.
All right, Jeff Pegues, thanks so much for digging into this for us. Appreciate it.